Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Tuesday, March 17th, and we're back. This is your place for helpful crypto news, commentary, answers to your questions. And before I get into how the guys over here are, I have got to introduce you to today's excellent guest. Back on the Rise Up Morning Show for what I think is the third time. For the first time on the ground in a while, she is beautiful, smart, charming, humble, the co-founder of Euphoria Finance, your friend and mine. Please welcome Casey Craig to the Rise Up Morning Show. Casey, welcome back. How you been?
Hello, my friends. It's nice to see you. Thank you for having me back.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to have you back. We were catching up backstage, and Casey was being really friendly, and I was like, no, save it for the show. So yeah, maybe to start off, you asked about ETH Denver, but how are you?
I'm fantastic, man. We're super excited. It's been a long time since I've been on TikTok here, and so I'm happy to be back with you guys and with this crowd here. But yeah, it's good. You know, it's that time in our product's lifespan where it's finally coming out into life, into the world, and so it's been building in the shadows, heads down for a long time, and now it's time to get that out to everybody. So it's exciting.
Okay, we've talked about it on the show. Euphoria is tap trading, but do you want to define it for people? Is that what you would call it? I feel like we could just get right into it, and I'll throw it up on the screen. You can show people what it is.
Yeah, totally. So it's a concept that's called tap trading, and what that is you'll see it on the screen here, but essentially you look at a price chart. There's a grid overlaid across the chart. You see the price line moving across the screen, and you just tap where you think that the price is going to go. So this really started with the question of how can we make the most fun and simple and intuitive possible way to trade? And this is what we ended up with. So under the hood, it's a pretty complex exchange, and we've abstracted all of that away into just this fun, simple experience where anybody can understand. It's just, hey, I want to place a tap for $1 that I think the price is going to go to this square, and if it does, then you hit a multiplier payoff. And those multipliers, so they're options like pricing, right? So the further out of the money you tap, the higher the payoff is.
Oh no, my squiggle's going right around.
I was in right now, and then okay, got saved a little bit there.
We're trading ETH, by the way.
As I've played this, at first I was like, all right, I'm gonna have this screen over here, and I'm gonna have my 1 minute chart over here on the right, and I'm gonna play this, and then eventually I was just like, click every box, it sounds fun. I was just like, oh no, my money's going away.
Yeah, they also have.
It's a lot of fun.
That you said sounds fun. We've got tracks that they aren't going to play through while I've got the sound settings adjusted, but you can have multiple options for your music and also the sound effects. That's my favorite part. It's like being in a Las Vegas casino is kind of what it reminds me of. And I still think of when you showed us the demo way back at, where were we, Alex? In Prague at Emergence, right?
Yes, that's correct.
We were sitting at a table in the networking room. The Stellar event was over, but we were just catching up and hanging out. That was the day I re-met Angie. Oh my God, look at that candle. And you were like, check this out. I've been working on it. And I remember instantly thinking, oh, this makes sense. Mm-hmm. Can you explain more about all the technical stuff happening under the hood? Oh, go ahead, Alex. Yeah.
I remember thinking what Doug just said, which is, I'm in danger. I'm afraid.
Yeah, this is going to be so, it's so addicting.
I know people can't hear it, but like Evan said, the sounds are so satisfying. It's it's the perfect sound. That's why I keep playing it. Every little pop or sound is so satisfying. And then like I said, I just filled to the screen.
Every little
clicks.
Every little pop is so satisfying as I hemorrhage all of my money away.
Yeah, but it makes me feel good.
See, maybe I can press a button and route it into you.
You know what though? You know what I and you tell me if this is unfair. Evan, do you remember when we were in Las Vegas, in 2022, and we were like, okay, well, we're here, we have to go gamble at least something. And so we made a genuine effort to go into some casino and play one game. We had a very strict price limit. We were going to spend $20 on something and go play something. And I don't know, how long did we try? We were trying for a while, and we couldn't get anything to like accept the money. And then finally it was like, you did, and then the machine just took it, you lost, and there was like there was like nothing. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this is just like a reverse ATM. That's not even fun. And I just
and then we went to a roulette table and we got like all the rules wrong. We were like, okay, we'd like to make a small bet on black, and he's like, okay, it's $50, and we were like, oh, we've only got 25. And he's like, this is the wrong table for you, and we were like, oh, sorry,
okay.
Please don't be mad at us.
It was just like I don't mind playing a game where I would risk some money. Like we can delineate between, like the idea of doing something that has like some sort of, methodology to win, but like it's a very real risk that I'm going to lose some money doing something, but like you get a fun feeling out of it. Like that's what I feel like a game like this is supposed to be, versus in Las Vegas now where I just like put $100 into a dollar receptacle and it's like, okay, thanks, more. And I'm like, no, that wasn't fun at all.
Yeah, that's not very fun for me either. I'm not into slots. Like actually, even with you guys, I've played different games. Like we played poker before. We've played, remember at that casino night?
Casino night. Yep.
I enjoy games that have some kind of element of skill to them, right? And Euphoria actually does have an element of skill to that. And it's been proven out by our testnet experience that we've had so far, where there are players that there's traders that find edge, and they're able to come on and look at this and find ways to be super profitable. And obviously you're going to have people that are just like tapping around for fun. And whenever you have no strategy or nothing like anything like that going into it, your chances are going to be a little bit lower. You're trading on effectively the 1 second chart, right? These squares are 5 seconds. But I think that that's kind of the difference for me between something that's trading and something that's gambling, is whenever, can you have an edge and can you actually make money using this thing? Or is it just like fully the odds are set by the house and it's set against you? And, really with Euphoria, the purpose is to work with market makers who are pricing the market fairly, so that, your chances to win are not against some like 30% house edge or something that's crazy, where like it is just fully rigged against you.
When you're selecting the boxes and each box has like a times 32 or times like 1 point, something, right? Is it just immediately creating a leveraged position each time, or is something else happening in the background? I'm curious.
So there's no concept of leverage. Your risk it's contained to that $1, say, that you're putting up on each one of those positions. The payoff multiplier, again, you can think of it more like an option, where the market maker has priced the forward probability of you hitting that square, right? So if you're right and the price goes like way far away from the price, it's going to be super, super high, and they're willing to pay that because it's not likely that you're going to hit it, right? So it's kind of a game of like chicken and egg, back and forth between you and the market maker, of like, who's gonna guess the right price and the right squares.
Gotcha.
I'm curious too, if you'd talk a little about how you made it real from the vision. Like, this is probably pretty easy for somebody to code in terms of a user interface with like fun buttons and cute animations. The hard part here, I've got to believe, is the on-chain execution. Like actually getting an order in real time this quick. Like the price is probably how many seconds away? How many seconds is each box? And therefore, how many seconds is it away from like the last trade I can pick right now? This is a 30-second trade basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So each one of those boxes represents 5 seconds. So
5 seconds. Yeah.
It's a 1 second chart that you're looking at that has obviously there's a smoothing applied to it so that it's nice and beautiful for your eyeballs. But each of those boxes is 5 seconds. So, it took very specific and very opinionated infrastructure to build something like this, where, we chose to build on MEgaEth, which is an ultra fast, super low latency chain where they've really maxed out performance as far as you can take it. And we needed something like that if we wanted to have kind of a Web 2 akin experience in a Web 3 app. And so, what I mean by that is if we built on a chain that had, say, 6-second block times or 12-second block times, it's not very fun if you just like tap and then wait and then tap and then wait. So there's like very specific infrastructure that allows for something like this. Same thing with the Oracle, right? Like the way that you have that pricing that is real time, and the way that you're able to get that instant execution is because of, again, some of the infrastructure under the hood. And it's it's a pretty cool, if you like want to nerd out about the back end of it, each one of those individual squares is a CLOB order book. So like every single one of those squares that you're seeing on the screen is its own individual order book. So there's like an order book and matching engine that's happening on the back end that when you're placing those trades, again, it's real-time execution, real-time matching that's happening on the back end to match your $1 with the quote that's happening on the back end. And then, the instant execution, it immediately, you can see updates your balance in the bottom left-hand corner. And
Yeah, I got to tell you too, this is the best I've tap traded the whole time.
You're doing pretty well.
I think this is my.
Don't worry,
my
when you
good
get in
luck
there
charm.
for real, you're going to screw it up.
Yeah. Oh, look at that! Did you see that?
Oh,
Candle
man.
just totally steer. Who the hell did this to me? Oh,
Well,
my.
I guess Ethereum's doing great right now.
Yeah.
That
Speaking of which,
the spoken version of taking a screenshot of being in profit. You just said, you're like, I'm doing so great. And
I'm just so great.
the famous
No,
rule that you
100%.
shared on our show was,
I was going to say, you did that in front of, to do that in front of Casey is diabolical, considering
Yeah.
that was her one piece of sage advice.
Yeah.
Well,
if you
hey,
feel
just
like
made
you're
up
going
for
to
it.
take
You
a
got three
screenshot,
things right there. Yeah.
don't. Oh my God. Okay. All right. What was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say, first of all, you mentioned the price of ETH. I took some profits yesterday when it was in like the 2, 3, 5 range. Yeah. Thank you very much. And that's thing one. Thing two is, Casey, there are some questions we have. Like, what the hell is a CLOB? Can you explain it?
Yeah, a CLOB is, so it's effectively an order book where there are market maker orders being matched with people orders, right? So there are makers and takers. The makers are the people who are putting up the quotes into those books to make sure that you have liquidity on the other side, whether it's on Euphoria or whether it's on a perpetual exchange or wherever it is that you're making your trades. When you're using a CLOB order book, again, it's just kind of like a matching system where I'm placing my order here and it's being matched with another order that's sitting there in the backside where there's kind of quotes that are being posted and my order gets matched to them. So, when people talk about like placing limit orders and their orders are getting filled and things like that, these are the quotes that you're being matched with. And so, that's one of the cool things about the product is that every single one of those little squares is its own individual order book for that square. And so there are, different like risk controls that take place in the protocol where like there are open interest caps per square that protect the protocol. And there are, different things like that just to make sure that this is a good experience for everybody.
Okay. And another definitional question while I've got you here. Last time you were on the show on the ground, you explained MEV, maximum extractable value. And we were talking a little about this yesterday and I can't remember the context.
Coming up a lot
now,
lately.
But it's coming up a lot lately.
What do you mean you can't remember?
I can't remember the context. I do a whole show, man.
$40 million MEV tip made by Titan Builder after the Aave, single pool
fiasco
sandwich swap catastrophe.
The $50 million fiasco. So somebody made $40 million in the form of an MEV tip. First of all, are you read into the Aave thing, the $50 million swap? Yeah. So we covered it on the show yesterday. Could you help our folks understand what MEV is and the role it played in a trade like that, but also how it functions in something like this? It's a big concept that people have to understand when they're looking at incentives on crypto networks. Yeah,
definitely. So MEV is, as you said, it's maximum extractable value. And what that means is there's many different ways that MEV can occur. And it's how can somebody else make more money than you from your transactions? And oftentimes this is algorithmic trading. These are professional traders. These are not just people like you and I who are going to the front end and placing an order on something like, say, Uniswap or something like that, right? What's happening is that with different block builders and different pieces of the infrastructure stack, orders are being either kind of rearranged within a block to maximize the outcome of like the input that your transaction would have into that block. So like a common MEV attack is called sandwiching, right? Where like I would place an order before and after your incoming order because I know that I can get in before you. Your order is going to push the price and I'm going to get out immediately after you because of your order coming in that's going to move the price. There's different types of like Oracle front running that can take place. If you don't have a fast enough Oracle, you can actually like front run the Oracle price updates that are coming somewhere, and you can exploit that price differential. And so there are lots of different types of MEV, and there's lots of MEV shows up in different ways in a lot of different places. But yeah, that's kind of the simplest explanation, is that it's somebody with better tech who's able to be faster than you, who's able to exploit kind of inefficiencies in market pricing.
And is the general theory that just like markets are efficient at finding good prices, that if a market exists, somebody is going to over time find different ways to squeeze every little bit of possible value out of it? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And you know what's really funny is my co-founder Nathan, the thing that Nathan's like super I guess famous for in the crypto space is that he's called the salmonella guy. And so if you look up, I'll actually have you guys look up the salmonella attack that Nathan was the pioneer of. So Nathan was one of the first MEV traders on EVM networks, on Ethereum, on a lot of other networks. He was really like pioneering in the early days, like was back and forth with Nathan and his crew, and like Jared from Subway and all of those guys. And I've got to tell you, MEV traders they've got the funniest names for their bots. So like Jared from Subway is a good example, right? They have like some of the funniest names.
That's an amazing name for sandwich attacks too.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that it's like an attack and it's Jared from Subway, which, has a history that if I go into, I think would get flagged on TikTok. So I won't mention it. That's amazing.
The same thing with the salmonella attack, right? So Nathan sat down and he said, what is the worst thing that could happen to a sandwich bot? Or what's the worst thing that could happen to a sandwich? Salmonella.
Salmonella.
Yeah.
So Nathan came up with this strategy that was actually like rugging sandwich bots. So he figured out how to poison is a word that it's taken the wrong way, but it's almost like poison these sandwich bots and kind of bait them into bidding these contracts that would like drain the funds from these sandwich bots. So like Nathan was rugging the ruggers. And that's kind of what he became famous for in MEV land. And so I recommend that you look up the salmonella strategy because it's pretty cool. It's very clever.
Yeah, if you Google crypto salmonella attack, you will be directed to a GitHub for DeFi cartel /salmonella, where Codeforcer Nathan has an article called Wrecking Sandwich Traders for Fun and Profit. I will put the link in the Rise Up community, which is, of course, community.rumshq.com. We've got lots of good stuff there. The only thing missing is you. It's going in the general chat right now. That's wild. Salmonella.
Yeah.
Salmonella.
They sound like a fun crew.
This was one of those things that we talked about, like with regards to MegaEth itself. It, more like early days MegaEth, when you were first kind of getting started over there, was this like anti-MEV. There was a question from Aaron Almighty on YouTube. Is there a way to protect from MEV attacks other than keeping your transactions small? It's a great question because, yeah, there are some different methodologies. There's tools. There are also blockchains working on stuff like this. Interestingly, shout out to a future guest coming up this week, Say. Was kind of built with a specific consensus mechanism to try and combat the whole MEV attack thing. It's called Open Order Book. There's your homework before Thursday, is look up Open Order Book consensus and how it differentiates from, I don't know, pick anything out. You could pick some interesting ones and kind of look at like an analogous breakdown, like Sui's Narwhal and Tusk. That was a video comparison that I did when they were both coming up and everyone was asking, Sui versus Say. But Casey, with regards to MegaEth's combat to MEV attacks, seems to be, what if we were going so goddamn fast that there was just no way?
There's just no time.
Yeah, that seems to be kind of is there anything else at play, or is that kind of the methodology? Or I guess, what else could you add to that question as a user concerned about getting sandwiched or getting front run?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I mean, a lot of the things that you can do are some of the things that you mentioned, right? There's like MEV-blocking RPCs that you can run in, say, like MetaMask or whatever, Ravi or whatever wallet it is that you want to use, where you can use like specific RPC blocking, specific MEV blocking RPCs. Lots of acronyms here today. But there are also like historically, one of my answers to this would be use a solver like Cowswap to make these issues go away. And then, this happens with Aave the other day. There's a whole postmortem that's written up on that. But with things like MegaEth, yeah, that's a big part of it. Is the speed is something. Protocols do a lot of different things as well, where they'll introduce they'll introduce a tiny bit of latency, like a little bit of settlement delay on your transaction. So a good comparison for this is like Kalshi. Okay, so you go sit courtside at a football game or a basketball game. Like, how do they make sure that you're not front running whatever's happening on their books via just like sitting there and being like a courtsider is what they call them. It's because they introduced this transaction delay, right? Where they can make sure that your transaction lands, say, 2 seconds after you click the button, so that they have time, so that their market makers' stale quotes are not where they're getting filled. It's so that the market makers have time to come in and update their quotes before you could go and like front run that kind of thing. So there's different ways that people combat this, but yeah, I mean, just the sheer speed of MegaEth eliminates a lot of MEV issues, and the way that the transactions are streamed like through the sequencer, that's kind of like something that changes things as well. But you never fully eliminate MEV. At the end of the day, at a certain point, it comes down to like the constraints of physics, right? Like, how fast can information travel?
Are you seeing a lot of projects and developers in this space go and start experimenting and building on MegaEth, maybe a little bit more so than other projects? I'm just curious, since you've kind of been on the ground building there, kind of what the developer community is kind of saying, feeling, and building on it.
Yeah, so Mega has been a super fun ecosystem to be a part of. One of the big reasons that we joined Mega, aside from just like the sheer technical architecture, right? It's super fast, it's super cheap, it's super scalable, is the fact that the other builders on the chain were thinking like we were. We wanted to build net new applications. We wanted to build this ecosystem where it's not just like the 12th L2 that has, Aave and Uniswap and the same things over and over and over again, where you really don't have any reason to like bridge capital there and go do stuff. Like, we wanted this ecosystem where people were excited. It felt like DeFi summer, right? It's like, there's all this new stuff for me to do. And again, it has kind of that Web 2 akin feel where like I think one of the things that historically crypto does wrong is that they give you a similar experience to something that exists already in regular life and in Web 2, and then they make it worse. You come and you play this game, and then you have 55 more steps to get started to do it. And so, with something like Mega, it unlocks this ability for builders, again, both kind of on the infrastructure side and then like on the tooling side of things with privy wallets and things like this, where you can just completely abstract all of the crypto away from it, and you have that speed, and you have all of the things that just make it super, super simple and just like super reasonable of an experience. So yeah, I think that we'll see a lot more builders coming to Mega. I think that people are, I would say builders over the last year or two are a little gun shy with the current market climate, right? Like, people, it burns capital if you want to move to a new chain and build out new infrastructure, and you want to build up a whole nother stack. Like, there is an operating cost that comes with something like this. So I think that once people see MegaEth proved out a little bit more, we'll see more and more applications coming on chain. And when people see what's actually possible, like when they see it's not a vaporware chain and it actually works. And I'm grateful to say that I think Euphoria has proved a lot of this for Mega and for like the people that see this, is that, this chain actually does what they said it was going to do, and the apps do work, and it's not vaporware. So I think that was kind of a thing between builders for a long time, was like, yeah, theoretically it's a great idea, but like, does it actually work? And so, Mega ran these crazy load tests where they did a 7-day stress test and did 11 billion transactions in 7 days. And the reason why they did this was because, why 11 billion specifically, is because that was more transactions than had ever been done on any L2 ever. Like, the aggregate of all L2s. Mega was like, all right, well, we're going to show you guys that we can do that in a week.
Damn.
So it pushed, I mean, it was pushing to, you know, sustained periods of 40,000 transactions per second and, you know, 25,000 transactions per second during this load test, just to show that like that is possible. It's not like some theoretical throughput, like it can handle it.
What are some of the examples of other apps that people are choosing to build right now? Like drop a couple of names, folks in the Mega Mafia.
Yeah, so there's a couple of cool projects. One is a good friend of mine, his name's Kevin, built, it's called World Markets. And World is an interesting, so there's a lot of different interesting directions that I find with Mega. So there's, you know, the more like DeFi focus. So World is this protocol that it's a unified risk engine for your spot and your, I'm sorry, it's a unified margin account for your spot, borrow, lend, and perps. And so it allows you to take like these levered basis trades and and create like these interesting DeFi primitives all within one place. And so you're starting to see more of this. You're starting to see on Hyperliquid, right? They're enabling portfolio margin, and you're starting to see this in more places. There's fun apps like I've got some friends building it. There's a game that's called Ave Forge that they've put out a couple of really cool products that I like. There's another app that's in the direction of the like super fun gamble-fi type of thing. It's called Hit.one. And what Hit1 has done is they also went the mobile first direction like we did. And theirs is a lot more casino-fied than ours, where you click a button, you hit one, you click a button, and you see like the little wheels spin, and maybe you can just scroll on their page.
Did that say up to 1,000x leverage?
Yeah. So what you do is you
God.
right here, you staked $8, and you don't know what the asset or the leverage or the side that you're taking of the trade is. And you can choose to close this at any time. It's kind of like a crash game, but this is putting you in up to a 1,000x leverage position. And when you close the position, it will tell you what the trade was that you took. So maybe it was Bitcoin, wow. You were on 600x leverage and you went long, right? So then you close it and it tells you that afterwards. And those trades are actually taking place on World. So there's a lot of synergy within the ecosystem as well that I think is cool.
So like being teleported into a race car that's already driving, could be a Lamborghini, could be an F1 car, you could be on a racetrack, you could be on a dirt road, there could be a tree in front of you, or you might just be about to cross the finish line.
Yeah,
but the trade version.
Yeah, and then there's different things, like there's Hello Trade is bringing tokenized stocks, and they're bringing more institutional products. I've got some friends building something that's called Bricks Money, where you're earning yield from the carry trade on the Turkish lira. These are some friends that are based in Turkey, and so there's a lot of interesting stuff that's happening. But whether it's like retail focused or whether it's more institutional focused, I think it's just bringing a whole kind of conglomerate of primitives to MegaEth that some exist in other places and some don't, and they're all pretty unique. So that's exciting to me.
Excellent stuff. If somebody is interested in learning more, I would just direct you to MegaEth's Twitter at MegaEth. Something I really like about them is that they're doing a great job to highlight people like Casey, teams like Euphoria that are building on their chain. And the creative direction is like, the merch is so good. The visuals are beautiful. The website is great. And I was not aware of who was doing this on the team. I had heard Rose's name before here, but Rosebow at Haruko Rose is in fact the creative director at MegaEth. So all around, the creative, the construction, it's impressive. And we love to see a chain support their builders. Like, you got to, especially ahead of launch, you got to do that.
Yeah, they've been a fantastic distribution partner to us. They've been wonderful.
So when is Euphoria going to launch?
So we just ran, we're presently on testnet right now. So it's just working out we did a testnet trading competition. And the point of that was obviously to onboard our first cohort of a few thousand people, make sure everything works as intended, fix any little bugs that pop up here and there. And, as a testnet, there were a couple of bugs that popped up here and there. There was one day like the price, the actual grid, was appearing funny, and little things like that pop up here and there. And so you work out those issues, you hear feedback and you hear suggestions from your users, and then we fix those things in real time, and then we deploy on Mainnet. So right now we're just waiting for final audits to come back, and then we'll be going live on Mainnet. So it's imminent now. We're kind of just waiting on final little pieces, and then we're all set. But don't want to take real money without having the contracts audited.
That's probably a good idea. Who audits your contracts? Sherlock. I'm not hip to them. What a great name.
Yeah.
Does Watson work there too? Come on, no laughs. That's it. That's all I get. Come on, guys. Come on.
That was
okay.
awful.
Listen, if you've got a question for Casey about Euphoria or about anything else, let us know. And in the meantime, let me say that this show is sponsored by our friends who are the opposite of pink. I'm talking about black and white Arculus. Thank you so much to the people at Arculus for being the official cold storage partners of the show. But with Casey here, I've got to look at it through rose-colored glasses. If you need cold storage, they're a great fit for you. You can use the code ARCURUMS10 to get 10% off, whether you're on their website, getarculus.com, or you're on the TikTok shop. They do have it on the TikTok shop, and often you can stack the deals. Their handle on all socials is This Is Arculus, and again, their website is getarculus.com. Thanks, guys, for making great education possible and protecting our assets. Assets with a T. Don't quote me for that. Okay, what are you seeing in the comments? What kind of questions do we have rolling in? I know, Will, you've got a couple minutes left before you got to ride a dog and pony out of here. And the people love Casey. I've got Leif who says, I feel like my IQ rises when Casey is in the room.
I also really enjoyed the comment of, finally, someone dressed up for this show. Yeah. I was like, yeah, we're in sweats a lot, and Evan's in, I don't know, anything and everything, something.
You know, I get from my community all the time. I do AMAs within my community a lot, and they wager on whether or not Casey's going to wear black to the show. And I have never not worn black to one of these. So one day I'm just going to show up and surprise them. But it turns out I exclusively wear black.
You're going to play us like
someone's to play. Ride the prediction market up until the odds are just so astronomical.
Oh, yeah. Just short black with 100x leverage.
No.
No, 1000x leverage.
No, you allow the prediction market of will Casey wear black to just rise and rise and rise and rise and rise. And then somehow, some way, you set yourself in an even more favorable position by having Zach XBT make the announcement of an investigation of what Casey Craig will wear, then somehow compounding all of this, because Zach XBT will make it a much bigger market then, and then you get to make money, and Zach XBT gets to make money, but your pile of money will be bigger, and then bada boom, bada bing, you got it. And all it took was the reputation loss of one Zach XBT.
Perfect. Zach, call us. We'll lose you your reputation faster than you can.
He's doing just a fine job torching his reputation right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll still look for his investigations. So,
real quick, there's a couple, or actually quite a few questions about this whole MEV thing. So I just wanted to TLDR it really quick and then say that we can talk in more detail about it in the circle. Because you could do an entire show about the complexities of what it is and how to avoid it and who's more at risk. So you don't need to spend your whole day stressing about this. There are some specific things that make a transaction at higher risk, like Casey was talking about for getting sandwiched or getting front run. Trading in and out of low liquidity pools, you're at a much higher risk there. Trading with really high slippage tolerances, you're at a higher risk there, which is actually the specific method that caused the Aave transaction thingy to get sandwiched the way that it did, because even though Cowswap is an MEV protected DEX, if the user specifically opts out of the MEV protections of the DEX by setting their slippage at 80%, then it doesn't matter what the underlying thing is. So if you're trading like Bitcoin or ETH and you're on Coinbase or something like that, you don't really have to worry about it, because the liquidity that you're trading in and out of is much deeper there than it is if you're swapping in and out of some lower liquidity DEX pool somewhere. Those are the ones that are more likely to, because the payoff for the MEV bots is much higher. So you can mitigate your own risk by choosing to trade and swap only out of deeper liquidity pools. There was a question about, can you split up transactions and bundle small ones? Technically, yes, but if you do it in quick succession, then the bots are smarter they will still gather those, bunch them all up, and front run them all together at once. So you'd have to be spreading these things out like over a lot of time. And in that sense, then you're putting yourself at risk of, having to deal with price changes and fluctuations in and out of the moment that you actually wanted to execute the swap. So again, we can talk more about this in the circle. If you guys are concerned or curious, there's a totally free community that we run that you can join, community.rumshq.com. It's free to join, and you can ask any and all questions about MEV stuff. I can post some resources there, and we can do some more learning and stuff. There's tools you can use, but the majority of people who are just like swapping, the bigger, more blue chip cryptos in and out of high liquidity pools, there's many protected dexes, there are protected wallets, there's all this kind of stuff. Like all these things can help mitigate your risk of getting sandwiched. So it's mostly for like the meme traders who are swapping on, low liquidity and high slippage. Those are the people who get screwed all the time.
We also talk about it a lot in your very first episode conversation with Jito. They explain really well, and we have a lot of clips around what MEV is and how it can also be beneficial to you.
Yeah.
So check them out, find it in the community. I am stealing it from your question-seeking brain to give it over to Will Watson, because I see he's got to leave us in just a little bit. Will, I know you wanted to ask us about River, and there may be something else that's come up that you want to share. The floor is yours, brother.
Yeah, so the big thing is there is a new moon tomorrow night, and
shit.
There's a new moon tomorrow night, so apparently
Will's favorite.
71% of the time, within 3 days, Bitcoin sees a price correction, which is a data point I find very silly, because it's like 71% of the time, within 14, 17, 12 fortnights, Bitcoin does something. And I'm like, oh, cool.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Wonderful. But anyway, for you moon traders, there you go. There's something for you. This Friday is the witching day, which is when stock options, futures contracts, and stock whatever. But it's like 3 markets, all of their options expire on Friday. So Friday will be a little bit more volatile. So it's probably a day just to have a little bit less leverage, maybe more than you usually do. Just FYI, everybody. And then last night, I was taking a look at what altcoins have done particularly well this week. And it's, first of all of the 2023 AI coins, including Render, which is interesting. Immutable X was even up there. And I was looking at this list and I was like, this is just 2023, where Render did great, Fetch did great. I think Fetch was around then. Fetch did great. Immutable X was like the first altcoin they started doing well. Yeah, it's really weird. It's weird. It's interesting. It's just 2023 again right now in terms of what coins are doing well. But the number 1 coin was River. And I was like, what the hell's River? And then I looked it up, and it's this platform that if you go to their website, I did not understand what it did at first. And I was like, I don't know if I trust this. And then I looked, and they have this like a stable coin called SAT USD. And it's backed entirely by Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, and then like a handful of other altcoins that they don't specify. And they mentioned that they keep it pegged to $1 by just buying and selling those assets above like whatever valuation they would need to be at for the dollar to retain. And I'm just like, well, that's super risky. that doesn't sound particularly stable for long to me. And if you look at the River chart, it's really interesting because it really spiked up this January, and then in 28 days fell 92%. So it's a really weird project, and it's an odd one, but it was doing great this week. So yeah, it's something that I'd like to get your guys' opinion on in terms of a stable coin, because I look and read that and I go, well, I immediately have the heebie-jeebies because I want a stable coin to be backed by cash or cash equivalents. I don't want it to be backed by volatile assets and have some system that I just need to trust that it's going to work in order to keep it at $1. So something we can talk about now or later or during the show, whenever. It was just something I saw that was interesting.
We've got 3 minutes to give a take on it. So I'm going to defer to our guest, Casey, before you've actually actively got to run. Have you heard of this, Casey? And what do you think about it? Or even generally this idea of backing a stablecoin with blue chip crypto?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any like major thoughts on River. I actually believe that we first met the River guy standing outside of that casino event that we were talking about. That was where
we did?
Yeah, I think that was where I first met the River guy.
It's crazy.
Funny.
I don't know why I remember that, but yeah, it was outside of that aquarium that we were at. But That's a side note. I personally not a fan of these types of strategies for my stablecoins. You know, a lot of PTSD from previous algorithmic stablecoins, but personally, I prefer, you know, as Will said, cash equivalents for my stablecoins. So not a huge fan of these types of things. Yeah, I mean, it's just crypto right now. It's far too volatile. I know they've got certain rebalancing strategies, and I don't know River too well, but I'm not a big fan of algo stablecoins or like partially collateralized, partially algorithmic. I'm not sure entirely how it works, but you know.
It's
well now
it's
that I
not
have Casey's
algorithmic.
opinion, I don't need either of yours, and I feel good.
Yeah.
Whenever Casey says anything about DeFi, I go, that is the perfect answer. I understand,
That's the gospel.
and it's always correct.
Okay.
It's not algorithmic. It's over collateralized by a pretty wide margin. It's actually really interesting. So effectively, it's kind of like a third methodology between, you know, like algorithmic stablecoins, which I would agree with Casey. We've seen way too many failures and not really any super notable successes for me to not feel squeamish about them. I still think it's interesting. You know, like I'll give it a chance. We're supposed to be experimenting with weird stuff that might break and fail. That's the nature of bleeding edge tech. You know, just don't pour your life savings into the newest thing on the block every time. That's just irresponsible. But
I'll tell you. Go ahead. I'm looking at it too. Sorry.
No, I mean, so the collateralization rate is actually relatively close to 200%, which is over collateralized. Typically, when you're seeing something like, I don't know, what's a good example?
I don't know.
GHO, Aave's stablecoin, which is an over collateralized stablecoin that functions similarly with different backing assets, but still kind of in the same neighborhood. Their over collateralization is lower, like between 120 and 150, I believe. Someone fact check me. Here did. But the this one seems to be a little bit higher. And then, like I said, you know, a pretty high percentage of all these backing assets are these huge blue chips. And it looks like, where did the chart go of all of the, oh no, I lost it. I'll find it. Just like how many, the percentage of like who gets to be the biggest, the lion's share of like those volatile assets that back it. The cool part is that you also get some on-chain benefits from those backing assets existing, like staking and different yield options depending on what the underlying asset is. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I wouldn't, you know, like full port over into this thing or like use it as my primary go-to or anything like that. But I'm definitely, I have like 8 tabs open with all their stuff and their audits and whatnot. It is intriguing.
The interesting thing here is that they're like a cross-chain play.
Yeah.
The buzzword you'll see, the acronym is CDP, collateralized debt position. This is an important concept to understand if you want to like unlock your DeFi brain. And a lot of places will allow you to deposit one crypto and mint a stablecoin or get something else that you can spend another place. River specifically is saying you can bring us your Bitcoin, bring us your ETH, your poor, tired, huddled masses longing to be free, and then we can deploy this stablecoin. I've already lost the ticker for their stablecoin to whatever chain you want. I don't know what the options are, but instead of like you got to take a ferry to get to one island, it's like walking into the ticket station for your ferry and it'll say, okay, you can go anywhere in the world. You got Bitcoin and you want to use it on, you know, you want to use our stablecoin on, I don't know, Avalanche or ICP or whatever, we'll help you do it. Yeah. So interesting sort of terminal concept.
Appreciate the research and thoughts, guys. We'll have to talk more about this later because I'd like to know what your research there says, Alex, that you've pulled up. But Casey, great to see you and chat with you again. You know, hopefully it's the next time is a little bit sooner than a year or so, and we can expect you on the show or see you at another crypto event. So nice catching up with you. And likewise, Alex, thanks. Evan, everybody, I'll see y'all later.
Your friend and mine, Mr. William Watson. Bye for now, Will. Okay, we still got plenty of time left in the show to take your questions, to explore some interesting concepts, and enjoy some time with our friend, Casey Craig. Alex, I know you've got eyes in the comments, so where would you like to take it?
Well, I was, like I said, the MEV stuff, I think we can wrap up and take offline. I still need to do I need to do a comment scan. So actually I don't have an updated scan for you right this very second.
What I want to know, Casey, is where you're going to be traveling next and when we might get to hang out with you in person again. Or if you're going to be in New York in June, because we'll be back there.
Yeah, I will be in New York in June. I'll probably pop down to Miami for Consensus. So if you're going to be at Consensus, I'll head on down. Obviously canceled plans to go to Token 2049 in Dubai.
What happened with that? Because they just canceled because of the unrest in the area.
The war.
That sounds minimizing. I don't mean it that way.
I had canceled.
They canceled the Middle East conference for the war in the Middle East, Evan. It's not that tense.
Isn't it like a couple months away still? Or am I thinking of the other token?
It's a couple weeks away. It's not that. So I think that was a good call. What I'll be interested to see is, I'm going to turn on like my shit talking hat here for a second, but what I'll be interested to see is Token 2049 is one of the most expensive conferences like ever. It's like for a main sponsorship, for a 15-minute speaking slot, it's like nearly $1 million or something like that. I'll be interested to see all of the like scammer, like algo bot trading people that come and like they needed that conference to float until next year, that now they're not going to make it because they spent their entire treasury on this sponsorship that just gets rolled over to next year. I'm actually happy to see that happen because that's fucked up. I'm not happy to see that happen, but
I know what you mean.
We know exactly what you mean.
At every one of these conferences, there's some like big scammy thing that they come and just like
every time
play on these things. And so, I'm like, I went to a conference recently where the two headline, the sponsors, I was just like, there's no way. It was like, one was like it was an MLM for like AI trading. And then the other one was something else. And I was just like, come on, you guys are just like, you're hosing these people.
We went to Denver and they had Digital Ascension Group, which is like Jake Claver's family office fund as a sponsor. I was not cool with that.
Yeah, their business is convincing people who don't need trust funds to buy them. Honestly, I think it says a lot more about the hosting conference than it does the applying sponsors. Because if you are so like hard up for sponsor money that you'll take it from literally anything who's going to write you a check, you're just eroding the integrity of the institution that is your conference. It really doesn't make me feel any differently about the scammer who's doing what I expect them to do, which is get in front of more people and try to swindle someone new.
Yeah, totally.
Real quick, to answer a question in the comments, I see folks saying, check your DMs. Shout out to Omar. If you're trying to reach us, the best way to do it is community.rumshq.com. Alex, Casey, and I probably get dozens of DMs every day. Many of them are spam, and we are never going to DM you. In fact, if someone who looks like us or who looks like Jake Claver or Coach JV or anybody else you trust to learn crypto from online sends you a message, especially if it seems a little helpful, they leave you a comment letting you know you can DM them, that person is almost certainly, I'd bet all my Bitcoin on 1,000x leverage, trying to scam you. They're trying to leverage the trust we've built to take your money. Don't respond to them. And that's why we don't reach out to you in DMs. We don't respond to you in DMs because we don't want you to get confused. Community.rumshq.com is not only free to join and super convenient, it's safe, and it is the way. If you want my attention, Alex's attention, or if you want our help getting Casey's attention, you got to go there. I'm telling you what, the only thing missing is you. Community.rumshq.com. So thank you, Omar. Thank you, everybody. Had to say it. Got to have good safety PSA. Casey, is there like other stuff that's got you excited to be in crypto? The traveling is good. The conferences are good. The apps and building stuff is good. But I'd like to know what else you're paying attention to. If you have any time outside of your, like, getting an audit, launching a product.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the majority of my focus right now is on building the product. I've not really been trading much, but I am still super excited about the space, right? Like I spent a lot of time in the space. I live in New York. I spend a lot of time with other builders, and I'm hearing what people are working on, what they're excited about. And so I think that for me, it's a lot of the stuff that you don't see that makes me excited. Like, people maybe get a little bit quieter on Twitter. They maybe get a little bit quieter, like publicly. They're not doing so many conferences, but people really are still heads down shipping. And I think some of the things that I'm excited for going forward, from like just a pure ethos perspective and like an adoption perspective, would be the push for payments and for stable coins, right? Like I saw, like yesterday, MasterCard and Chainlink had their announcement about like your one-tap payments that you can use to spend your stable coins. And I think that payments is going to be a big push. And this is not a new concept, but it's something that a lot of people are working on right now, right? So I think that payments is something that we're going to see a lot of adoption from. I do think like interesting stablecoin mechanics, like things like River and things like, my friends are building a protocol that's called Cap Money. Quite interesting. It's, things like Athena that are using these different strategies on the back end. I think that, some of this stuff is interesting where the TradFi folks will be able to come and they'll be able to receive higher yields on their assets and, hold them in like dollar denominated stables. I think that, we can't ignore just the sheer progress that's been made over the past year as far as tokenized equities and commodities and things like this, and pushing for 24-hour trading in the stock market and things like that. So these are the things that I'm excited about. Like, when you zoom out, when you zoom in, everything looks really, it's glum. Everything's kind of in a rough spot right now as far as, all coins are down 90%. Everybody's getting wrecked in the trenches. If you're trading meme coins, like that stuff is not super fun and shiny for people right now. So I think the pure, like farther down the marginal user curve retail trader is not having a very good time right now. But I do think that, on average, there's a lot of really, really great progress that's being made. And I mean, I still wake up excited about the space every day. Like, is it, do you ever know what to expect year over year of the space? No, like we probably all thought Bitcoin would be at $250,000 by now after, the last one, but it's still like, there's no reason why I'm not excited about crypto anymore. I don't think it's like all over and that it's doom and gloom. I do think that crypto as we knew it 3 years ago is definitely over. But I don't think that like the notion of crypto in its entirety being over is even on the table.
Somebody asked, it's Aaron Almighty, is there more building during the bear market versus the bull market? And I don't know if there's more, because there's probably a lot more momentum and money and stuff moving around the bull market. But I certainly feel like the people who are here building when prices are down are the most serious, the most committed, and usually doing the coolest stuff. Like that's the secret.
Yeah,
cool stuff during the bear market.
I think that during bull markets, you see more building publicly because it's easier to get attention. There's more attention, and as a byproduct, like there's just more people, right, that are interacting with the conversations and with, say, like socials, like Twitter is an example I use a lot. There's more people on Twitter during a bull market, and so there's going to be more conversations and more opportunities for your thing to circulate. And so I think there's a lot more like public momentum that happens during bull runs. With the rise of AI agents and the ability to, for a non-technical to build quite literally almost anything. We're seeing a lot more building happening right now. I think relative to if we didn't have all of this, we'd see a lot less building happening right now. And then I think that funding is another big thing. I've noticed VCs are having a hard time raising their funds. So like LPs are a little bit gun shy at the moment because of recent token price action. And I've seen other builders having a hard time raising right now. So there certainly isn't like the appetite for VC funding that there was 6, 12, 18 months ago. So these are the things that definitely change from like market sentiment to market sentiment. But yeah, I don't know, that's kind of my take.
You see this question, Alex Solom, the chief gift officer, has an excellent question for you. Casey, you've got a magic wand. If you could wave it and change anything about the crypto industry, what would it be? What would you like to see as a priority?
If I could change anything about the industry,
I'll give you some time to think about it by buying it with this comment from Bearded, who says that he specifically would like to change Alex's bear wall. Can we start a fund to furnish Alex's bear wall?
All right. You know what? Hold on. Listen here.
Correct.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of this.
What you got for us? Hang on, I'm gonna have to show. I'm gonna get you with a screen share here.
This
is what Alex is showing us.
there's stuff over here. It's just not behind me because I'm kind of.
It's
my
not
desk is
behind
kind
you,
of in the
Alex.
corner.
Come on, man. Help
That's
us out.
you can't quite see down because the camera's on a tripod, but that's you know, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of magic cards, and then all the stuff underneath there, cellos in the corner, all the display cases with all of my crocheted treasures, the books.
I'm coming down there, man. I'm coming down there. We were already talking about doing a road trip to Miami for consensus. Casey, you're welcome to join us. You fly to Savannah, and then what we'll do is
now that's
I'll
an
bring
idea.
some. We'll
Fly
get
to
some
my house.
driftwood, and we'll put up some shelves right behind Alex because he's got driftwood on the beach, and then we'll put like 3 of those magic cards on the shelf, man, with like a little underlight.
Listen,
we will do that.
It's
for
in
you.
progress. I got to do something back here. It's just this is the bare corner because I'm like my desk is like, you know, framed this way because I've got all these windows over there, and I don't want to have windows behind me. And they're in there. I promise. There's stuff in the office.
Casey, can we interest you in a road trip? If you you can't use that for your wave of magic want to make it happen answer, but that's mine. Is like we're thinking about doing a road trip from Tybee Island to Consensus, and you got to come.
Well,
That
I mean,
sounds
I am.
super fun. Savannah's a lovely place. I would love to come back to Savannah at some point. I know I keep telling you, I've told you this for like 3 years. Like, yeah, I'll come back to Savannah. But I adore Savannah. I think it's adorable, and I would love to come back.
It is adorable.
It's super fun to do a road trip. I will say I also have a bear wall behind me because I recently moved, and so I'm setting up my new office. And so I will join you in having just an empty bear wall situation back here.
Yeah. Really though, if you could wave your wand and change anything, it would be ...
I think maybe some more regulatory certainty around different things, right? So I think it's good and it's bad where we're at right now because we've got, on one hand, there's a lot of people that are joining the space because of some of the clarity that has come into place over the last few years, specifically institutions, et cetera. But I think that, you know, from a builder perspective, a lot of times people still fall in between the gaps of like different things, right? Like you kind of don't know. And so you do your best and you operate under like the absolute best assumptions that you can possibly make, but you look at folks like Uniswap who end up in lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, and they're trying to play by the book as much as they can, right? And they're fighting back when appropriate, and they're so I still think that we need some work on some like framework for crypto. So if I don't know, that would probably be one thing for me is if we could wave a magic wand, I want crypto to be super accessible in the United States. I don't want us to have bit licenses in New York. I don't want, all of these kind of things to happen. I want people to be able to do things wherever they want to do it. Like, Euphoria presently has the United States geofenced out. And the reason for this is, and you guys are on testnet right now, so it's perfectly fine to just like mess around, whatever. But it's because of the regulatory, the lack of clarity that we have right now.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier. If you want to tap and trade, you're going to need a VPN because it is not available if you live in the United States in your area, but you can have a workaround. Do you think, I don't know, are we at risk? You have an office there in New York. You're like a lot of crypto companies building there in anticipation that we will continue to get helpful regulatory clarity. But is there anything that could like break the deal for you and cause you to move somewhere else? Or are you looking at other places as setting a model that you think is really helpful that we should emulate?
So for us, what we're trying to do right now is, so the license that like, if in a perfect world, the license that we would have, it costs about $100 million to obtain.
Oh my God, what?
Yeah. So
Good system.
Not ideal.
Yeah, there are 5 or 6 companies in crypto that have this. Crypto.com's parent company has one. Kalshi has one. There's a few folks that have this license. So for us right now, it's working with some partnerships to be able to kind of join forces together and lean on them for their licenses for the United States access. But yeah, I mean, we would love to be able to operate freely in the US and in places like the UK and these different jurisdictions. So I guess, yeah, that would be my magic wand, is like that everybody can use DeFi apps and not have issues.
Are you worried at all about I don't know, being enforced against the way like Tornado Cash, et cetera, are. That still blows my mind that more people aren't paying attention to or concerned about that particular case. But
the retrial, yeah, that's crazy. No, I mean we're operating in a way that is like super compliant, right? So like we are registered in a couple of different places for a few different reasons, and like we're following everything, you know, as much as you possibly can as far as what's been laid out, right? So like we're registered as a derivatives exchange, and so that's how we operate as far as our like from a regulatory standpoint. So, you know, for us, we follow in the footsteps of a lot of the people that have come before us, right? Like we won't do something that say Hyperliquid wouldn't do. We won't test the boundaries. We won't be the ones to test the waters, because that's kind of stupid, right? To just like stick your neck out there. And so, yeah, especially as
very expensive to stick your neck out there.
It is very expensive. Yeah. And, you know, you work really hard and you build something, and you don't want the strong arm of the law to tear that down. So,
yeah, you touch on, I think, the single most important piece of the entire equation that for some reason is not addressed in a single piece of legislation that has been brought to any floor, debated, proposed, voted on, whatever. This is actually what we're talking about today on trust issues. So everything, the Lummis Gillibrand innovation protection thing, the whole Clarity Act, FIT, any of it, nothing protects front-end development or front-end access to DeFi protocols. There's all this like fluffy nonsense about, well, I shouldn't say nonsense. I'm projecting. There's all like protections baked in for back-end protocols, but there's nothing in there to talk about like, well, how is anyone supposed to access and use these different protocols in a way that makes any kind of sense? So yeah, you know, you can build pretty much whatever you want, but no one is allowed to use it, which is why even in the alleged crypto capital of the world, there's not even a proposal that hasn't been brought to the floor to address that problem, which just goes to show you how nonsense that whole mantra is, because if you can't use the stuff, it really doesn't matter what you build. It's like saying, yeah, cool. You know, Casey, we see what you're building. Really cool. Small side note, no one's allowed to actually use the game.
Yeah, you can build
okay.
it.
Okay, sick. What if we made it non-custodial? We don't care. Oh, okay. Cool. Well, what are we supposed to do? Oh, hey, don't worry. No one's going to sue you for writing the code as long as nobody uses it. It's like, oh, okay, sick. Thank you so much. I feel protected already. So there is nothing on the table anywhere that is going to do anything to alleviate the pressure on DeFi protocols to geofence the USA out of participating in any of this stuff. It's not even like a glimmer in a senator's eye at this point. So there is literally nothing to look forward to with regards to that, which is crud. So if I could wave a magic wand, that's what I want. I just want like one politician to acknowledge that, like, hey, I decided to crack a book for a change, and this seems like a major problem that perhaps we should spend some time talking about. And it's not happening.
it's wild. Cody said in the comments about, you know, getting an expensive license that you could always just get some money from me. Do you accept donations, Casey? Because
no, I don't want your donations.
No, not do you ask for them? Do you accept them? And specifically, I'm talking about cryptocurrency. Do you accept crypto donations?
I do not, but I appreciate it.
Not at all?
No, I mean,
I'm trying to pull this up. I have a social wallet that I use for teaching that gets all kinds of airdrops. And at this particular moment in time, I have a balance of about $44 trillion that I could make a small donation to you, is why I ask. Oh,
let's go. What do you have? Some kind of you've got some illiquid shitcoin in there that, you know, somebody bundled 92% of the supply of.
100%.
It's terrible. Yeah. It's terrible. And I, you know, every time I try to, it's not just one that I could hide. It's several. When did I tell you about Logadog that I was doing last year? It's our friend Mike. He works over at Coinbase on the Base wallet, and he does a lot of cool stuff on chain. And one of the cool things he does is every year he has an on-chain hot dog eating contest called Logadog. And you take a picture of yourself eating a hot dog, upload it to their portal, and it launches a like Coinit styles or a token. So I ate 200 and some hot dogs last year, and I got all of these fungible tokens, different contracts, mind you, dropped in my wallet. And for whatever reason, one of them got traded one time, and now all of them are worth like $44 billion. And Coinbase wallet is the only place that shows them. And it only lets you hide token balances one at a time. So I'll be sitting there on the toilet or, just having a thought, and I'll be like, oh shit, I got to clear out some more little 44 billion accounts. I'll never ever be through it because there's hundreds of them. It's terrible.
That's insane.
Mike, can you fix it? Yeah.
Not that. The fact that you ate 200 hot dogs. That's what I meant. But I think that's another problem too. Like tax software is it's like, every year you do your taxes and you have like your CPA is like, hey, you made $62 billion this year. And I'm like, I promise you, if I made $62 billion this year, you wouldn't be like, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Yeah. Well, look at Evan. He made over 100 trillion this year. It's going to be a rough tax day.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Drinks on me. Just one round though. I'm a fake billionaire.
Hot dogs on you.
Yeah, exactly. Hot dogs on me all day long. Log a dog win. Okay, it's almost that time where we got to ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset. Alex was letting me know that there might be a cat eating my Wi-Fi, so sorry if there's a little blip. But
don't come for me. If
you've got something you want to hear us talk about, if you've got a question, then don't hesitate. A suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom, or something else. The 8-Ball says, beware rug pull. So could be us. Could be rugging you. You are sweet to spend your most valuable time with us every morning. If you can't get enough, rise up. Check out Trust Issues later today. That's going to be 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We've got more morning show tomorrow. We will be back with Colleen McDonald, chapter president for Oklahoma's Stand with Crypto. And then tomorrow night, we've got Jay Jog from Say, co-founder of Say Labs. Thursday, we'll be back with Jared Blake, head of product over at Crack, because we're hooked on Crack. It's like a seriously good week of shows, but we will have all of it wherever you are, whenever you listen at community.rumshq.com. Casey, I'm so sad that it's almost the end of our time together for now, because I really miss hanging out with you. And I think, the comments show that people really love your presence here. Can we expect you after Mainnet goes live to refresh your content creation arc? Do you think? Yeah,
a bit. I figured you were going to ask about this today. It was. I will be making more content. I don't know about like in the same capacity of like every single day making videos and things like that, but I definitely, I'll be making a lot more content than I am now, which is almost zero. So, so that's a good start. But yeah, like myself, Nathan, we're planning out our content arc and kind of getting back into it. One thing about me is I don't love being like a quote influencer. Like I don't love it so much. So, just candidly, I do love connecting with people. I love explaining the product. I love being helpful to people. Whenever I was working in crypto education, I really, really enjoy the connection with people. But do I love like quote being an influencer? No, not really. So, yeah, so I do want to make more content. It's just kind of figuring out how to balance that. And I want to showcase what it's like to build crypto products. I think there's a lot of questions that people have. I think that there's a lot of ways that I could be useful to people. I don't like getting asked every single day, like, what's your price target? What's your price target? Like, what's this? What's that? And it's just kind of like, look, I'm here to help you. I want to have a conversation. Let's have a chat,
Yeah, I understand that. It can be so fast paced too. Like you just answered that question 3 minutes ago and you're just, you're doing the same thing. It's exhausting. You always have a place on our show. We could just bring you in as the monthly, weekly correspondent, the on the ground safe. I don't know, whatever you want to do. You just let us know.
Fourth host.
We're going to try and bully you into it.
Yeah,
fourth host. You could have your own show. Alex texted me at the end of last year and he was like, I think I'm going to start another show. And I was like, the what? But
sorry.
That's what he does.
No, we'd love to. Yeah, we'd love to do some more stuff with you guys. You know that you're dear friends of mine, and I appreciate everything that you do for your community and for the crypto space as a whole. So I'm super stoked to see all of the traction and progress that you guys have made. And it's nice to have good actors in this space, and I'll forever support you guys. So
That's lovely. We didn't pay her to say it, but we appreciate you for saying it. I will ask you, is there anything that we didn't talk about today that you particularly want to talk about before I go hunting for the questions from the audience? Because it may be a while before we see you again. I just have this feeling you're going to go be busy.
There's nothing really that's kind of like burning in my head that I want to talk about. I will say, like, if I can give my final spiel, is just follow us on Twitter, join our community if you'd like to stay up to date with the timeframes and announcements that we'll be making here very soon. We'll be rolling out on Mainnet shortly. If you do need an access code to join Euphoria, if you haven't had the chance to try it out yet, reach out to these guys, community.
.rumshq.com, you know it.
Community.rumshq.com, or hit me up on Twitter, and I'm happy to help you guys out, get you sorted. So really appreciate the time being here, and super excited for everybody to try out Euphoria.
We are too. Casey is at Casey Craig on X. On TikTok, she's at .Casey Craig, like a period. And then Euphoria is at Euphoria_Fi on X. And if you want to try it for yourself, you can go to testnet.euphoria.finance. Or there's the manifesto on euphoria.finance. But like Casey said, wherever you are, whenever you listen, if you come to the community, we will help you find Casey. Alex, what are you seeing in the comments before we get our cats and cows and dogs and ponies and ride them off into the sunset?
Well,
what are you laughing at? What'd I do?
There was a question earlier that we didn't get to, that was just about asking, looking at breakouts and trying to determine whether or not it was like legitimate or kind of a fake out sort of a thing. My comment response was that it's really hard to tell, but you can kind of look at like volume spread, which actually kind of brings me to something that I thought was just diabolical that I stumbled upon last night, scrolling through the old TikTok, and I saw a very well-attended live stream with a very particular Calvin hosting it, and just made this comment that I thought was insane, because I feel like definitely has to know that this is not how this works, but was talking about this recent pump, like overall the entire market, and how the like total crypto market cap has gone up by about $200 billion in the past, I forget what the time span was, but relatively recently. And how just that means that $200 billion have come into crypto. And that's just like not even remotely how that works. So, not so much determining whether or not something is like a fake pump or real. I guess I don't even really understand fully what that means. Like if the asset that you're holding is up and you find yourself in profits, especially at a time like this, I would seriously consider paying yourself at least a little bit for having done that, please. And that's just not at all how that works. And you can fact check it extremely quickly by just looking at what the total volume is over the same time span. And you'll notice it was not 200 billion. And that includes selling too. So, it's one of those good little things. It's just like a weird thing to like be leading with or saying, because it's completely false, which I guess shouldn't surprise me that much. But on top of that, you can kind of look at, who's leading, which assets are the ones that are, pushing price up, or which ones are kind of like causing a peripheral pump in other assets. There's been a few that have been outperforming the other stuff lately. Hyperliquid is a big one, which is really interesting. Casey, this was a fun conversation. We were going through all of the major cryptos and comparing their valuation structure to a traditional company, or even like a startup tech company that is, by traditional methods overvalued because of, VC involvement and value projection and revenue projection, all that kind of stuff. And then looking at crypto, even now, when it's undervalued, and how almost everything is still unbelievably overvalued compared to like what they're actually doing in terms of revenue, except Hyperliquid. It was just this anomaly wherein it was the only appropriately valued crypto, outside of, you could say, stable coins, or honestly even meme coins, because who's to say, and Bitcoin, which doesn't count, different. But thought that was interesting. So it's not really an answer to the question, how can you tell a fake pump versus a real one? I would say if the price of the asset you're holding goes up, who cares whether it was fake or not? Consider paying yourself back for doing that, especially recently, because like I keep saying, the macro is awful. It's getting worse. and there's no reason for it to change right now.
Alex,
there is nothing on the horizon.
I don't know if this is something that they could be referring to. This is CoinGlass.
Okay.
And I see the crypto ETF flows. This is something you talked about previously on the show, is that ETFs have been having sort of a comeback moment. In the last month, we've seen net flows of
right now.
$2.1 billion. And the swing up yesterday that we had for ETH, I was just looking at this since I took some profits on ETH yesterday, was largely where I saw it attributed to, hang on, let me give myself a largely ding, largely attributed to BlackRock launched an ETH-B, I think is what it is.
Correct.
I'm not hip to it. I just have seen people talk about it. So it could be those kinds of things. And in this case, I would say, especially in like the last 24 hours, cats are eating my internet. If this is what your chart looks like, you know, you might consider taking some profits, especially if it's been like, you know, as low as, what is that? 1831 is, I can't do the math on the fly, but we're talking,
I mean, it's
at least 20%, close to 25% down.
Yeah.
Less than a month ago. So that's a, you know, I don't.
That's a big swing. That's a big swing in a short amount of time. And if you caught that down there, you know, don't fall into the trap of like, oh, next stop 5K. Probably not. You know, look at the big picture. Crypto kind of still exists in this little echo chamber. It's very easy to get very tunnel visioned, and you just got to be careful because, you know, it's really easy to get overexcited about something that moves very aggressively for a little bit of time, forgetting what all is happening elsewhere. So, Casey, the only other thing, which I think we would probably need an entire other episode to talk about, is I've been waiting for you to come back so that I could ask you about ZK stuff, because you are always the person who comes into my head. Is what was it in Korea that you went to, like it was like a workshop or
no, it was Zuzulu.
That's right. Yeah.
Thailand.
So basically, okay, that's right. Thailand, not Korea. My speculation is that one way that DeFi could out-innovate the awful legislative space inside of the US is by working more closely with the ZK stuff, just as a way to, you know, make a front end more compliant by being able to provide some sort of, you know, KYC or AML workaround or compromise using something like ZK or another privacy methodology. Obviously, there's a few prominent ones, but, you know, ZK is kind of the biggest, most fleshed out.
In English, Alex is asking, can consumers like us enjoy crypto products anonymously, privately, without having to give banks and everybody else our information with this math magic?
Pretty much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if you were asking me or if this was like a
we are
recording.
asking you, but you know, I was just translating for everybody.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes. I think that one of the things that I find interesting is that we're seeing a lot of like fake privacy pop up right now too, where this is a little bit off topic, but something to like point out, where I've seen recently like people talking about private cards, right? Like non-KYC cards to spend your crypto. And none of these are actually private. Like there is some kind of compliance that's happening on the back end, or there's fraud that's happening. Like, so I think that might be an interesting topic to bring up at some point. I know we're at the tail end here, but yeah, I mean, I do think that I still think privacy is in its infancy, right? I don't think that we're at that place quite yet, but are we heading there? I hope so. I think that I think it's just tough to say with, like we were talking about earlier, the regulatory climate in the States of like, is there a lack of willingness to understand these types of things? Because that then just kind of like exacerbates these issues, right? It like doesn't make things better if you're going to get in trouble with more steps.
Yeah, no, 100%. A friend of the show, Katie Bettner, has talked about that experience with building her project and her company just being, you know, having to take some risks and like apply for some licensing that then became completely pointless. And again, the amount of money that they have had to spend to try to be like legally compliant and follow the things that you're supposed to do has just cost them millions of dollars and netted them absolutely zero benefit, left them in a worse place than just taking a risk. I'm glad you brought up the card thing, because that was actually my front running. That's like my top example right now, is this off grid or off the grid.
Yeah, that's
card
the
that
one
we
looked at. Yeah.
that we looked up the other day. And because that was exactly my thing, is like, because it's a Visa partner, and I'm like, how is this actually what it says it is if Visa is allowing it? And the only answer that I could come up with that isn't it's all nonsense is that Visa is like, well, hey, we've got you, this like off the grid entity that we will hang this around the neck of if it all goes sideways, and we don't care about anything else, because in the interim we're going to make a bunch of money off of the fees of whoever's doing whatever over there. So if you say it's good, we're going to take you at your word, and when it all falls apart, we will hang this albatross on your neck and you'll never work again, kind of a thing. And then we'll take you for all you're worth and move on. And it'll be just like a blip in Visa's, radar, because they're so gargantuan. But yeah, I mean, that was my exact thought. Was like, how is this even theoretically possible, let alone how are they actually doing it?
Yeah, there's a number of different ways too. There is like just some centralized counterparty that they're like, we're a non-custodial, non-KYC, blah, 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 buzzwords, but it's not. There is a custodial counterparty on the other side that is then like footing the Visa relationship or footing the MasterCard relationship, and then just like passing it off to you as this, again, like KYC free option to spend your crypto directly from the chain to the merchant. That's not what's happening on the back end. It's just like, that's a thing that I've seen a lot over the past maybe 2 weeks. So that's why I brought that up too, as far as like privacy goes. And yeah.
Definitely.
Tori said, hang what on my neck? That albatross. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Casey, Alex, we got to wind things down. I am going to come to you for your final thought. Casey, I know you gave yours, but I'll let you plug one more time all the links. Alex, you're getting one too. My final thought is to tell you that if you can't get enough Rise Up, you need to go to the community. And I want to show you one of the things you'll see when you get there. It's this community feed. And it shows you all the different events that we have, like today's morning show, today's trust issues episode. It appears in your local time. And check this out. We've even got all the like premium events and things. There is an office hour with Will today. If you're a premium member, you can head over there, or you can start a premium trial. Totally free, 10 days. And then it's just $30 a month. And you get stuff like these daily show recaps. If you don't have time to watch the entire episode, they link to all kinds of little clips. It's a super short summary like you might get in a newsletter, so that you can keep caught up without having to sacrifice hours every day. And also, don't forget that now through the end of the month, Will is hosting another chart art competition. You can post fun chart art, silly technical analysis for a chance to win Will's money. My yard now says, we thought it was yield. It was a casino. AI assisted artwork, but the pain was real. Indeed. Submit yours now. community.rumshq.com. There's so much more waiting there for you. The only thing missing is you. Casey, one more time.
Oh, Evan
wow. Rugged myself.
Oh my God.
Tell the people where they can find you if they want to get in touch with you.
Yeah, again, thank you guys for having me. It's always a pleasure. You can find Euphoria at Euphoria_Fi on Twitter. You can find our website at testnet.euphoria.finance. And super, super excited to have everybody come try it out. Give me feedback. Tell me what you love. Tell me what you hate. Tell me what we can improve. And yeah, just appreciate it and stay euphoric.
Alex, what do you got for us on the way out the door today?
I will answer a question as my final
of course
thought.
you will. I love it.
So the question was, how do you feel about I Trust Capital? This definitely makes the rounds. So my TLDR is that you need to be aware of what you're giving up if you want to opt into a structure like that. So yes, there is technically some sort of tax benefit to holding crypto in that method, but what you're giving up often is access to liquidity, DeFi opportunities, yield opportunities, basically, custody, like all that sort of stuff. So you just need to be aware of what you're opting into. It's effectively, It's taking your crypto and putting it in a place to get some sort of tax incentive that you probably don't really need. It does make sense if you're like maxed out on all traditional IRA accounts, if you have zero interest in self-custody, if you just want to like hold stuff for decades and never do anything with it, then maybe it makes more sense for you. But if you want to use any of these assets ever for anything, it's a terrible wrapper. It's very limiting. So kind of just be careful. You know, the business itself is legit. They're fine. They're not like it's not a scam. It's just not like all it's cracked up to be, in my humble opinion, especially if you're like more in crypto for crypto's sake and less in it for, you know, whatever. So if you're like really just want IRA exposure to crypto and your Roth IRA or traditional IRA or whatever are already maxed out and you're already just holding the max amount of, you know, the Bitcoin ETF or, you know, some trust or ETH ETF or whatever it is, then maybe it makes sense for you. But I think for the majority of people, it doesn't probably make sense. I'm personally like not even remotely interested in it because I would rather, you know, swallow the tax benefit and be able to participate in the stuff that these assets are supposed to be doing for me. But
yeah, and I don't want to give,
just my opinion.
I don't want to give BlackRock at all my staking allocation. I don't want them to have power over a decentralized network. If I can also choose to give it to someone else, like, I don't know, I have friends who are validators. I'd rather just give it to them.
Pretty much.
Ladies and gentlemen, monsters and machines, people and creatures of all ages. That's our show. Ding for Tori on the way out the door. Thank you to everybody who's been hanging with us. One more time, community.rumshq.com. That's where you got to go if you want to get in touch with us or get to Casey through us. You can't get her on socials. We'll go knock on her door. Hopefully we're going to take a road trip to Miami soon. And when it happens, we'll tell you about it on the show. Thank you for being the very best part of what we do. Until next time, everybody stay safe, be well. My friends, rise up.